You don't know where you are on the map. Dead reckoning can be used to help you guess. It's an ancient technique, first used to navigate in open water when there were no landmarks or stars to guide you. It's still used by sailors, pilots, and astronauts, anywhere that you might find yourself flying blind. With dead reckoning, you start backwards from your last known position. Then calculate your speed, direction, and elapsed time, all while accounting for drift, to estimate where you are. I used it one Sunday this past May at O'Reilly's in Truckee, California. The supermarket was busy the day after a late spring snowstorm dumped a foot of sloppy snow that had mostly melted off the roads. I wasn't wearing the right shoes, and we had to park 100 yards away. Neither of us were talking as the automatic doors sealed us in, the loudspeaker music just a murmur. I wandered off to the beer aisle without saying a word, not knowing Kelly was still mad at me from the night before when Dad and Pat took us out to dinner after the snowstorm wore itself out. We went to a restaurant overlooking a golf course, blanketed with snow and mostly deserted. After everyone got their drinks, I started telling my dad a story, one of my greatest hits. You'll eventually hear it if you get to know me long enough, though he had never heard it, because the story is about the first time I did LSD. My dad asked me what acid felt like. He's never done it. I forget what I said. There isn't a good answer anyways, but I was already drunk before we left and talking too much, so Kelly squeezed my knee under the table, my cue to shut the fuck up. Instead, I got pissed at being censored, which isn't why she did it, not out of judgment, just worried that I was going to tell the part about how I got the LSD in the first place. Okay, so I really didn't like high school and would fail a course most every semester. My dad would get pissed. Then next report card, it would happen again. He got so mad one time, he cut the plug off the TV. Maybe he was thinking I'd spend more time on my homework. But he still wanted to watch his shows, so he bought a TV just for himself. This was the late 80s, and he chose a 5.5-inch portable color TV. It was a 10-pound slab, even before you added the 6D batteries. He'd sit in bed with that thing on his lap and watch himself some TV. When he's done with it, he'd lock it up like a pistol. After he moved out to live with Pat, new televisions were purchased, and that 5.5-inch portable color TV sat unused until I brought it with me when I moved to Hollywood right after high school. Hollywood sucked. I was just running away from my divorced family, which has nothing to do with the TV or the LSD, except when I packed up my dirty Ford Taurus 1 year after arriving, one of the few things I kept was that 5.5-inch portable color TV. Now, back home was the East Coast, but when I left Hollywood, I drove north, gravitating toward the mountain horizon of Washington, then east into Montana and Wyoming, following Interstate 90. Interstate 25 starts near Buffalo, Wyoming. It sprouts off of 90 before rolling south through Colorado until finally ending in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So, a highway sign in the middle of deserted Wyoming looked me right in the eye and said, 25 south, Las Cruces. That city was 1,000 miles away. That sign was a 1,000-mile arrow pointing south, which I followed, completely unplanned. the steering wheel, a dowser's wand in my hands. A few days later, outside Fort Collins, Colorado, my Ford started to pass VW buses and bugs, Subarus and vans, and they all had their bumpers adorned with Grateful Dead stickers. You know, dancing bears, roses, skulls. Flipping on the radio just in time, I heard a DJ announce the Dead were playing tonight at Mile High Stadium in Denver, right off Interstate 25. After driving for over a week and sleeping in my car, I looked a wreck in a blue Dickies work shirt and green Army surplus pants. So even though I was barely 20 years old, I didn't get carded when I bought a couple bottles of strawberry-flavored wine from a liquor store right off the interstate. Pulled into the parking lot at Mile High, poured an empty Coke cup full, and walked around the tailgating deadheads, sipping on cold wine that smelled like drugstore perfume. Didn't take me long to bump into a red-headed Irish plug of a drug dealer with a sunburned squint. He said he couldn't get me weed, but he could get me some acid. The thing was, to get the acid, we had to drive to his motel room near the stadium. And I was scared shitless with him in the car until he saw the 5.5-inch portable color TV in my back seat. He asked me to trade the LSD for the TV. The batteries were dead, but inside his motel room, we plugged it in. Sitting on his bed, turning the dial, PBS came up playing Sesame Street. Ernie was taking a bath and singing a reggae song about his rubber ducky while I was trading my dad's TV for LSD. Not knowing any better, I asked for 6 hits, a very good deal that he agreed to. He pulled one more hit from his wallet, an extra square of white blotter. And he told me this one was weaker because it had been in his wallet a while. He wanted me to start slow because I had admitted tonight was going to be my first time tripping. Hearing about my bad drug deal and abandoning that TV for LSD would have meant something different to my dad. When Kelly squeezed my knee, she wasn't censoring me. She didn't want our dinner, overlooking a snow globe golf course, to be marred by the shadow that story could cast. I said, uh-oh, Kelly squeezing my knee, better shut up, or something dumb like that, making a joke at her expense and embarrassing her because I was pissed. We both acted like it didn't happen and kept eating our salads. My dad still doesn't know I sold his TV to get my first hits of LSD. I was lost in Rayleigh's, looking down every aisle. Dairy, frozen, breakfast, beverage, household, pets. I couldn't find Kelly in a store filled with strangers. I found someone else. Distracted by a stranger's autumn brown hair to her shoulder, I paused a few yards away. A bubble moment of attraction in the shampoo aisle popped by her backward glance. I did not recognize she was Kelly until her eye contact pulled me back. Attracted to a woman I'd never seen that turned out to be my wife. Calling that a hallucination might be too much, but the sight of that version of her stays with me still. That's what I should tell my dad acid feels like. I could no longer be mad at both of her. was days later, though, when she told me how mad she still was. I still haven't told her I was wrong. When we're both mad at each other, it's easier to get lost. But when one of us isn't mad, that person can dead reckon a course across the hours or days that it takes until the clouds break and a sun ray of a smile appears across the landmark of her face to reveal exactly where we both are.